Okay, so hello guys. So today we're going to discuss about the inventories. Now we're going to review about inventories. So ano-ano ba lang yung content ng inventory and how to measure inventory. Okay, so start. So what is inventory? So as per definition, these are assets that number one, it is held for the normal course of the business. Two, in the process of production for such sale or in the form of materials or supplies to be consumed in the production process or in the rendering of services. So how do we classify inventories based on the nature of the business? No? So in a merchandising business, so when we say a merchandising business, we just buy and sell products, di ba? So under this merchandise inventory or inventory, so atong na account for inventory is only for the beginning and ending na classification ng merchandise inventory. In a manufacturing business naman, no? In a manufacturing business, we classify inventories from the raw materials, the goods in process, and the final goods, no, or the finished goods, no, and mga supplies, no, that is related in the production process. So while in a service provider, the work in process inventory or the cost of services. So how do we measure inventory? So at initial measurement, no, at initial recognition, we measure inventory at historical cost. Okay. So the cost of inventory should include all cost of purchase, cost of cost of conversion, and other costs incurring in bringing the inventories to their present location and condition. No? As long na related ang expense, no, in the delivering to the present location and condition of that certain inventory, it is considered as part of the cost ng inventory. No? So isa-isa unta. Ano ba lang ining unod sang cost sang or ano-ano ba lang aton nga i-identify and i-allocate on the cost of inventory. Okay, so excuse me. The cost of purchase, no? First is the cost of purchase. So amo na siya ang mga purchase price, import duties, and other taxes. Inang primarily this is the cost sang pagbakal mo gid sang product, no? So that other than those subsequently recovered from the taxing authorities, transport, handling, other costs nga directly attributable to the acquisition of the finished goods, materials, and services, no? Tanan-tanan nga related on the acquisition of that purchase, no? Sang inventory, part sa cost ng inventory or purchase. Next, the cost of conversion. What is the cost of conversion? So it includes directly related to the units of production, such as, no, number one, direct labor, no, ano pa? And a systematic allocation of fixed and variable production overheads, no? Sa cost accounting, sa advanced accounting, di ba, mayroon na mga direct labor or ang mga cost of conversions, the direct labor, and ang mga pwede ma-allocate ng mga fixed costs, no? Like the depreciation of the, sa nila, mga depreciation sa factory, okay? Tama na siya da. The cost of agricultural produce harvested from biological assets. So are measured on initial recognition at their fair value less estimated point of sale or at the point of harvest. So in ang mga agricultural produce, no, di ba may harap na record sa accounting ng biological assets. Okay? When do we recognize, no, inventories on the biological assets? Okay, so the moment na may cessation of life of that certain biological asset, then that's the point na kinahanglan naton siya i-measure at sa or i-recognize as inventory. Or at the point of harvest, the moment na gin-harvest mo siya sa iyang puno, then automatically we will record that as part of the inventory. Okay? Ano pa? Cost of inventories of a service provider. So the labor and other costs of personnel directly engaged in providing the service. No? Ano siya? Next, the joint product and the byproducts. So sa cost accounting or sa advanced accounting may atin na. But let me explain briefly what is a joint product and a byproduct. No? When we say of a joint product, it is primarily hindi hindi siya yung primary nga nga product nga gina-produce mo, but the moment nga gina-process mo ng primary product, kumbaga coexist siya, and it has the same importance with the primary product. For example, ang crude oil, no? During the processing of crude oil, sabay-sabay na ginaobra ang mga ang mga gasoline, kerosene, something like that, no? Do gina-create mo siya at the same time with the primary product. While a byproduct is the after result of that certain product na pwede mo pa siya magamit. Excuse me. For example, no, in a pineapple factory ng pineapple, no, ang ano-ano ang mga joint products and the main product. So ang main product, of course, ng mga pineapple slices, di ba? Pineapple slices, pineapple chunks, okay? And at the same time, no, inang matig-ang part sa tunga sang pineapple, no? Amo na siya ang isa ka primary ingredient in creating the pineapple juice. So amo na siya ang parang joint product niya. And ang byproduct is ang mga parts, no, na ginahimo nila fertilizer nga pwede pa nila magamit para naman sa in planting, no, their pineapples. Amo naman ang byproduct. Okay? So something like that. Okay? So more than one product may be produced in the production process. So the purchase cost of raw materials or cost of conversion for different products cannot be separately identified. The costs are allocated between the products on a reasonable and consistent basis. Okay? So the allocation will be based, for example, on the relative sales price of the final products or the values when the products become separately identifiable. Okay? The standard states that most byproducts, by their nature, are immaterial. So to determine the cost of the main product, the selling price less cost to complete and sell the byproduct should be deducted from the production. So ara na siya sa advanced accounting ng byproduct and joint products. Okay, so the following are excluded from the cost of inventories. Ano-ano ang wala ginadala, no? In valuing our inventories. So number 1 will be the abnormal amounts of wasted materials. Take note ha, abnormal amounts. Okay? So meaning ang mga normal wastages nga nag-occur during the production process is part of the inventory. Pero in mga abnormal amounts, no? Wasted materials, labor, other production costs, wala ginadala ang the cost of inventory, but they are treated as an outright expense. Okay? So ano pa? The storage cost, unless these costs are necessary in the production process. No? Next is administrative overheads, mga salary. For example, in a factory, no, mayara ikaw direct laborers, mayara ikaw mga salary sa offices. So inang salary sa offices is not part of the inventory. Only those mga direct laborers ng salary ang dala, no, on the cost of production. And lastly is the selling cost. Mga advertising, mga freight, no, wala na siya na. Freight, selling cost ya freight out, no, but ang freight in parts ang inventory. So how do we measure the inventory? So balance sheet measurement. The inventory daw should be measured at the lower of cost or the net realizable value, no, or the LC and RV. Okay, lower of cost or net realizable value. Ano yan mo silingon? So in every year, no, at the end of the balance sheet date, we need to measure the net realizable value of that inventory. And take note that inventory should be accounted and measured individually unless it is impossible to do nga pwede mo siya ma-measure individually, so kinanglan mo siya i-group, no? So amo na siya. So kinanglan naton daw i-measure sa at the lower of cost, no? Between the cost or the net realizable value, whichever is lower. Okay, so the net realizable value is the net selling price in the course of the business less the estimated cost to sell or cost to complete. Okay, so and the estimated cost necessary to make the sale. So inventories are usually written down to the net realizable value on an individual basis. So in some cases, however, it may be appropriate to group similar or related items that can be properly valued on aggregate. Okay. So muna na siya, no? When we measure inventory, it is lower between the costs and the net realizable value, no? Kung mandubo gani ang cost or ang cost kung manubo ang cost, there's no problem with that, no? But if nagnubo ang net realizable value compared to cost, then that's the time naga-record kita or naga-recognize kita parang impairment loss on that certain inventory. Okay? Sorry, mga din, no? Okay, so establishment of the year-end inventory. Proceed, no? So the periodic system of recording inventories calls for the physical counting of goods, while the perpetual system provides a record of the cost and its units remaining as a particular date. So balik sa basic accounting. In measuring inventory, or in establishing a year-end inventory, we have two parang process, no, or methods on recording inventory. It's either it is a periodic inventory or a perpetual system of inventory. When you say periodic, you only check or record your inventory at the end of the year. So, nga physical count ka, no? While the perpetual, may ara sa sang parang every time nga may ara may mabakal o may magwa ang inventory, it is automatically recorded. But of course, kinahanglan naman Japon sang physical counting, pero mas parang mas detailed ang report na gina-create, no, sang perpetual than the periodic. Okay? So included in the year-end inventory all of the item of inventories owned and controlled by the enterprise. Take note, controlled, okay, that are in good, usable, and saleable condition within or outside the enterprise premises. So the following items of inventory should be considered among mga dalon as part ng inventory, no? Number 1, merchandise in transit. Okay? So sari na sila in transit, meaning in transit habang gasakay siya sa barko, no? Ang inventory nagasakay sa barko. So how do we account that? If the term of shipment is shipping point, no? It include as inventory of the buyer. Kaya ang shipping point, for example, between the seller and the buyer, if ang trading nila ang ilang parang agreement is FOB shipping point, no? Meaning the moment nga gindala ni buyer ni seller, I mean, ang goods into the port, no, sa port, and ginsakay niya na sa barko to be transported to the buyer. Okay? At the point of the pagsakay ni seller sa product into the shipping like the barko or airplane, automatically ang inventory is naga-shift na from buyer. Okay? If ang is on destination, okay, as long na wala pa mag-abot kay buyer ang inventory, ang pag-value sina is kay seller man Japon, or ang inventory na belong man Japon kay seller. Next, if the term of the contract is cost of insurance and freight, or CIF, the goods should be included as inventory of the buyer once the merchandise is delivered to the carrier, though FOB shipping point man. Okay? So CIF contract clearly stipulates that the buyer agreed to pay the lump sum of cost of the merchandise together with its insurance, no, as well as the freight. Right? Now, the term naman is free alongside, or FAS. The seller is required to bring the goods alongside the vessel or carrier, in cost of bringing the merchandise to the side of the vessel or carrier is borne by the seller. Once the carrier takes possession of the merchandise title to the goods, once the carrier takes possession of the merchandise, the title to the goods passes to the buyer. The FOB shipping point man Japan, no? Kay the moment nga nasakay na sa barko or sa shipper, no, then nag-transfer na ang nag-transfer na ang ownership from the seller to the buyer. Okay? Ano pang mga dala? Goods on consignment, meaning sang goods on consignment, may mga consignor, kita ang consignor, may mga consignee kita, yung pagtagaan naton sila product, nga sila ang mabaligya sang product naton. And if wala pa nila ina mabaligya, kay ara pa sila kamot, ara pa sa kamot ni consignee, it is still considered as part of our inventory. Okay? Next is the sales on approval. Anong sales on approval, no? Sales on approval is goods sent on approval to a potential buyer. Nung do parang trial period, no? Like for example, inang mga pagbakal mo, um, okay, parang try mo muna, no, for 7 days, then kung hindi mo gusto, ibalik mo sa amon. So as long na ang days or ang adlaw is wala pa matapos, no, and there is still a tendency of the buyer na i-return niya ang goods sa kay seller, no, that inventory still remains to the seller unless, no, nag-agree na sila nga backlo na siya ni buyer. Next, mga special sales contracts. Ano yung mga special sales contracts? No? Next, ano yung mga special sales na contract? First will be the product financing, also known as the park sale. Now, because the seller, no, transfer its inventory in buyer's premises through sales contract that clearly specifies to purchase back the same inventory over a specified period of time at a specified amount, no? Include as inventory of the seller, do parang ang buyback, no? Buyback transaction. Okay? Dara lang danay sa imo buyer, no? Ginbakal ni buyer, gipabutang sa iyang warehouse, sa iyang nga parang iyang place, no? And at a certain point of time, baklo naman sa liwat ni ni seller, no? Parang buyback. Next will be sale but buyer given the right to return. Okay? So the revenue from the sales transaction shall be recognized at the point of sale only if the following conditions are met. Number one, the seller's price to the buyer is substantially fixed or determinable at the date of sale. So the buyer has paid the seller, or the buyer is obligated to pay the seller, and the obligation is not contingent on resale of the product. Parang irrevocable, no? So the buyer's obligation to the seller would not be changed in the event of theft or physical destruction or damage of the product. Or the buyer acquiring the product for resale has economic substance apart from the provided by the seller, and the seller does not have significant obligations for the future performance directly about the resale of the product by the buyer, no? And the amount of future returns can be reasonably estimated. Or in other words, no, nag-transfer lang siya if all of the risk and rewards transfers from the seller to the buyer. Mula ng pinaka-ultimate nga shifting of ownership. If all of the risk and rewards, no, transferred from the seller to the buyer, then automatically kay buyer na ina siya. All right? Next will be the installment sales. Goods should be considered sold or removed from the inventory even though legal title has yet to pass to the buyer, include as inventory of the buyer. For example, nagbakal ka sang cellphone, no, through installment basis. So, ara na si mo ang cellphone as the buyer. So, hindi na part sang liability ni seller. Segregated goods, ano ng segregated goods? So, mere segregation does not exclude such inventory. However, if the segregation is due to the sales contract, such as special order, such inventory is excluded in the inventory of the seller. Inang mga reserve ba lang. Okay? Yeah. Pero ma-consider lang siya as part of the inventory ni seller only if wala siya sang contract, no? Wala parang wala pinirmahan nga contract. Pero if may ara and required si seller to deliver the goods at some certain point in time, so kay seller na siya, kay buyer na siya dayon. Okay? So techniques for the measurement of cost. The retail method or the standard cost method may be used for convenience if the results approximate cost, no? Standard cost take into account normal level of materials and supplies, labor efficiency, capacity utilization, but a regular review is a requirement and it is necessarily revised in the light of current conditions, no? Ang retail method is often used in the retail industry for measuring inventories, a large number of rapidly changing items with similar margins for which it is impracticable to use other costing methods. So the cost of inventory is determined by reducing the sale value of the inventory with the appropriate percentage of gross margin. Okay? Mga cost formulas ng inventory. So the cost of inventory are not ordinarily interchangeable, no? Produce a segregated specific projects shall be assigned using a specific identification of the individual cost. Like for example, sa mga salakyan, no? If you are a seller of cars and parang paano ka mag-values ng inventory mo, hindi pa isa-isa because of that high value single item nga inventory. Pero if parang nag-wholesale ikaw, nga damo-damo product ginabaligya in small items, do ginagroup siya dayon. No? So the cost of inventories that are ordinarily interchangeable shall be assigned using a FIFO or weighted average method. So sa next chapter na siya no, on how to account for FIFO or weighted average. May ara pa nga isa. Pero wala na ginagamit or it is not allowed by the standard na ginagamit, the LIFO, the last in, first out method of recording inventory. Kaya obsolete na siya, wala na siya gina-allow sa standard nga pagagamito ni business. But for book purposes, no, for theory purposes, for lecture purposes, gina-show Japon kung ano ang LIFO method. Okay? The entity shall use the same cost formula for all inventories having a similar nature and use. So for inventories with a different nature or use, different cost formulas may be justified. Excuse me. Now, what are the key differences between the full disclosure, no? Full disclosure ng inventories versus the SMEs na treatment of inventories. Okay, so dito na kay ang book naton is naga-focus on actually in the full IFRS or the full PFRS, no. So the guidance on measuring estimating selling cost less cost to complete and sell, the same lang. Pero pagdating sa SME, do medyo may leeway, no, ang mga SMEs, no, sa pag-measure ng inventory, no. There is a full IFRS, cost of borrowing cost is required if any. Sa SME wala borrowing cost. Okay? IFRS for SME is less disclosure or meaning less notes ang required sa full kinahanglan damo disclosure. Okay? Okay, so problems. Right? So problem number 1. Okay, so problem 1. So what amount should be the inventory be valued now? So a retailer of imported goods at a cost of 260,000, including a 40,000 non-refundable import duties and 20,000 refundable purchase taxes. So included siya sa 260. So the risk and rewards of ownership of the imported goods were transferred to the retailer upon collection of the goods from the harbor warehouse. So the retailer was required to pay for the goods upon collection. So the retailer incurred 10,000 to transport the goods to its retail outlet and a further 4,000 in delivering the goods to its customer. Further selling costs were 6,000 were incurred in selling the goods. So how much is the cost of inventory? Okay, so balda ang cost niya kuno is 260,000. No, so included is ang 40,000 nga non-refundable and 20,000 refundable, no? So meaning ang non-refundable is already part of the cost, but ang refundable is kinahanglan naton i-deduct on the cost of the product, okay? Of the inventory, I mean. So ano pa, no? Ano pang included as part of inventory? The retailer incurred 10,000 to transport the goods to its retail outlet. So ina nga pag-transport cost is parang needed, no, to transport the goods to its original place. Okay, so ang dalon nunda is ang 10,000. Ang 4,000 is not part of the cost because delivery to customers na and may selling cost pa nga 10,000 which is also not part of inventory. So how much na? 260 less 20, 40 plus 10, it's 250,000 ang cost sang inventory. Letter B. Next, problem 2. Okay, so problem number 2. So what amount should Alka report as inventory in its June 30, 2014 statement of financial position? Okay, so Alka's company's inventory at June 30 was 750,000 based on a physical count of goods now priced at cost and before any necessary year-end adjustment. So before adjustment na ang 750,000, no? So included in the physical count were goods billed to customer, FOB shipping point on June 30, 2014. So these goods costing 15,000 were picked up with the carrier on July 9, 2014. So ang question, okay, so dala siya o hindi? Okay, so so included in the physical count, no? Na-include siya kuno sa physical count ang 15,000. Gin-pick up siya sang carrier at July 9. So part na sa Japon sang inventory ni Alka. Okay? Tama man nga gin-include siya sa physical count and gin-include siya sa value. Okay? Another, FOB shipping point, FOB ship FOB destination on June 28, 2014 from a vendor to Alka. Okay, so it was received on July 1, 2014. The invoice cost was 25,000. So the question, okay, so na-receive naton on July 1. Dala siya hindi. Okay, hindi. So meaning, FOB destination pa lang siya, no? Okay, so FOB destination from the seller. Okay, so kita dire is buyer. So tama man nga wala siya naton gindala. Okay, so it's because hindi pa man siya part sa aton nga supposed to be inventory. So pila ang value niya? 750,000. Letter C. Next. Problem 3. Our company reviewed its year-end inventory and found the following items. So we are asked to how much is the inventory adjustment? So pila ko ng adjustment on December 31, 2014. So a package containing a product costing 81,600 was standing in the shipping area when the physical inventory was conducted. This was not included in the inventory because it was marked hold for shipping instructions. So the purchase order was dated December 19, but the package was shipped and the customer was billed January 2, 2015. So dala siya ang pamangkot, dala naton siya or hindi? Okay, so the question is, ang letter A, dala bala siya? Okay, so yes, no? Because it was shipped, no? On wala pa siya ma-ship, no? Before the December 31, 20 December 31 nga ano nga end sang year, no? So the letter A should be included as part of the inventory. Kaya niya wala niya madala eh. So B. A special machine fabricated to order for a particular customer was finished and in the shipping room on December 30, 2014. The customer was billed on that date and the machine was excluded in the inventory. The machine costing the 230,000 was shipped, no, on January 2, 2015. Okay, so ang letter B, if it is a normal transaction or it is a normal inventory, no, part na siya supposed to be sa aton nga physical count sa aton nga inventory. But given nga ina siyang inventory is a special one, no? Kumaga again pa special order. So it is a sure ano naman eh, parang sure nga baklon, no? So there is no need for us, no, to add that or to include that sa aton nga inventory. Right? So B is not part, okay? So tama ang pag-account nga wala siya gindala. Letter C. Merchandise costing 23,500 was received on January 3, 2015, and the related purchase invoice was recorded January 5. The invoice showed the shipment was made December 29, 2014, FOB destination. So sa term niya pa lang or sa shipping terms niya pa lang nga FOB destination, wala pa siya nag-abot on January 3. Wala pa siya nag-abot before the December 31, no? So meaning, it is not yet part sang aton nga inventory kay part pa na ya sang aton nga baklan. So, not part. Letter D. Goods costing 450,000 were sold and delivered on December 20, 2014. So the sale was accompanied by a repurchase agreement that Power will buy back the inventory on 2015. No? So ang pamangkot, dala bala siya? Okay, or hindi. Okay, so tungabal ko kagina may buyback agreement. So meaning, part siya sa aton. Excuse me. No? So part mo sa Japon sa aton nga supposed to be nga inventory kaso wala pa siya ma-count on the physical count naton. It's because wala na siya sa aton nga place, no? So meaning ang change nga magakatabo sa aton nga inventory should be an increase of 81,600 and an increase of 150,000 nga inventory. So pila ang total sina? 81,600 plus 150,000. So 231,600 nga increase. So letter B. Problem 4. So consigned inventory. So on December 1, 2014, Superstore received 1,000 leather jackets on consignment from Star Company. Okay, so Star's cost for the leather jacket was 1,500 each jacket, and they were priced to sell at 2,000. No, so commission rate was 10%. So 200 leather jackets remained. Question: what amount should Superstore report as payable for consigned goods in its December 31, 2014 statement of financial position? No, pila kuno ang parang payable niya sa kay consignee niya, no? Kay may commission siya na 10%. So how do we compute that? Okay, so asa na kuan gid kita di ng consignee, no? Pila gali aton nga pagabayaran, no, on our consignor. Okay? So let's compute. So ang ara sa aton is 1,000 ang ginpadala, diba? 1,000 jackets. And 200 lang ang nabilin. So meaning nakabaligya kita 800 nga leather jackets. Diba? Sige baligya ta na siya daw at 2,000, no? 2,000. So 800 jackets multiplied by 2,000. Makabaligya kita at 1,600,000. Okay, so hambal ni consignor, in every time na makabaligya kita ko, no, okay, we are going to receive 10% commission on sold goods, no? Okay? So kinahanglan naton kuhaon ang aton nga commission nga 10%, which is 160,000. So i-less naton ina siya sa aton nga payable kay consignor. So pila na lang aton payable to consignor? So excuse me. So 1,600,000 less the 160,000. So ang payable to consignor is 1,440,000. So letter boy. So B. Next, problem 5, cost allocation. So Good Company purchased a tract of land for 18 million. So Good incurred additional cost of 4,500,000 during the remainder of the year 2014. in preparing the land for its sale, no? So the land was subdivided into residential lots. So lot class ABC, no? The number of lots, then sales price per lot. So using the relative sales value method, how much should be allocated to class A lot? Okay, so relative sales method, meaning i-value natin siya based on its relative number of lots and sales price. Okay, so paano natin siya obrahon? So kinahanglan na natin kuhaon ang total value ng every lot class. So si A, ang value niya ay 100 lots multiplied by its 200,000 na price per lot. So yung value is 24 million. Next. Si B, 100 ka lots multiplied by its price nga 160,000. So yung value is 16 million. Si C, 200 lots multiplied by its cost. So 20 million. Okay? So paano natin siya i-allocate atong value niya nga 18 million, no? So excuse me. So we need to allocate the cost sang land, no? Na 18 plus additional cost nga na-incur during the sales, no? Na sang pagbakal natin sang duta nga 45. So paano natin i-allocate ang 22,500,000 to each lot of each class lot, no? So ang obrang sina naton, we need to prorate, no? Using this cost. So pila ning total sini? 24 plus 16 plus 20, 60 million. So i-prorate naton sila using the actual the sales price nila of each class of lot. So 24 divided by 60. So ang ratio nila is 16 over 60 and 20 over 60. Okay, so using that ratio, i-allocate naton ang value sang land nga 18 million plus so 22,500,000. So pamangkot niya is only si lot A, no? So 22,500,000 times 24 divided by 60. So ang value niya is 24 divided 60. It's 9 million, no? Ang cost kay lot A is 9 million. Si lot B, compute na lang. Divide 60 times 22,500. It's 6 million. So answer is letter C. Letter C, no letter C. Highlight na sa ako. Okay, so letter C. Next. Last, okay? Cost of sales and operating profit. So Clothes Incorporated maintains a markup of 60% based on its cost, no? So the company selling in administrative expenses average 30% of the sales. So annual sales were 1,440,000. So how much should the corporation record as its cost of sales and operating profit for the year, no? So cost of sales and operating profit. annual sales daw worth 1,440,000. So ang markup niya is 60% based on cost. So sales, cost of goods, cost of sales, and gross margin. Okay? So hambal niya, ang sales niya is 1,440,000. Okay, now, hambal niya, ang sales price niya daw is 60% based on cost. No? So meaning cost is the 100%. No? In the sales is equivalent niya is 160%. Okay? Okay, based daw sa cost of sales eh. So meaning ang iyang gross margin will be 60%. Okay, so how do you compute that? So ng 1,440,000 divided by 1.60 or 160%. So ang cost of sales natin is 900,000. Okay, so nakasolve na ang cost of sales. Ang gross margin niya is gross margin will be 1,440,000, yes, 900. Gross margin will be 540,000. Okay, ano pa ang details nga ari? The company selling in administrative expenses daw is the average of the 30% of the sales, no? So ang OPEX is 30% of sales. OPEX or operating expenses is 30% ng sales. So pila na? 1,440 multiplied by 30%, it's 432,000. Okay, so meaning aton nga net income or aton nga operating profit for the period is 540 less 432, 108,000. So ang aton cost of sale is 900,000, while ang aton nga profit is 108,000. So answer is letter C, right? So that's all, no, for inventory. So if you have clarifications, you have questions, please feel free to message me sa aton nga GC, and please prepare, no, nga parang inyong message or inyong i-ask sa akon is para sa tanan, no, hindi ka mo mag-PM kay para kung may question ka mo, then maka-answer ako kag may similar questions man inyong classmates nga dito naton masabat. Okay, so thank you everyone, and God bless, no, stay safe.